Hello Tubesters, video number 2. We're fairly motoring through this lot. Another AB one, this time for a different client. This client I've been painting on and off for a few years now, and he prefers to do the basing himself, so they're just on bottle tops. But I like to put a video up of the stuff I've painted, so this is more commission work. Smaller than the last one, I think. I should do. I'm looking at the guns here. There's only about 4 of them, so it's got to be smaller. But yeah, these are Austrians. Same make, so they're Eureka AB brand. They're 18mm metal. I keep going over. I've got my head's all over the shop today, so it's I tend to be repeating myself because in case I've forgotten to say what I'm going to say. You get the picture. You've been hanging around me long enough now to know when Gav's head's on the fritz. Right, these guys done in a nice yellow colour, so more fancy coloured guns. And what do we get in the British Army? Grey or bluey grey. There's always people telling you it's the wrong colour. Blue grey, grey, but couldn't have nice yellow ones, could we? Like these guys. So join me at the bench, because I'm going around in circles. Join me at the bench and we'll have a look at these little fellas, and then we'll move on to video number 3. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. Let me just get this other light back on, which I've completely forgotten about. You watch it now go careering down on top of them. Here we go. Let there be light. Right, these guys, these are Austrians. Majority in brown uniforms, or brown jackets anyway. So let's look at this guy just saying National Cockade in yellow. At the top it's got black in there as well, but I tend to leave the black out because I say it's underneath the hat band. I've gone with a different white on this one. I've gone up from deck tan to give a more cold white appearance, and I've given the warmer whites to the cross belts. I prefer actually doing warmer white trousers, but I just thought these would make it a difference. I've not gone painting the buckets and chests and stuff like this guy here yellow. I thought they're not going to paint everything, and some of the photographs I've seen, yes, you can find yellow bits, but when I say photographs, obviously they weren't around in the Napoleonic Wars, but I mean you know what I'm talking about, the watercolours of the time. Red, like a madder, darky red collar and cuffs. Some of the shoulder epaulets could be red around the edges or full red. Again, they disagree on that one. A bit of green I've usually got in the shakos and the hats and stuff. This isn't a pistol, this is for all the different gunners, little mallets and stuff to spike the guns, I believe, should they be on the verge of being captured, I suppose. Sponge there, that gets rid of all the lighted embers that are still in the actual barrel itself after firing. What you don't want to do is start putting more gunpowder charge down there, and obviously it all ignites and kills everybody. So you put, should you ever not know this, I know I'm probably teaching people to suck eggs, but it's like a sheepskin type material, wool, the word I was after maybe. Put it in your bucket of water and then push it down the tube, gets all the embers out, and at the base you've got a more wooden circle, and that's for ramming down the cannonball as you're loading. Again, I've not done all the accoutrements, don't ask me to spell that. Just giving it natural wood because that's what I'd seen in the actual watercolours again. Usually it's got a twist of metal. I usually black them out because they're all sooty and that. Usually they've got a twist of metal around the edge that holds a matchlock type of thing, lighted match that they can put in. Most of these guys in the Austrian army carried the ropes. That's for pulling. You attach them to the ends of the... So we're looking at... Sometimes some armies moved them at the ends of the axles and some further in, but they're for dragging the guns around anyway. Guns, as you can see, These are, I do mine with a basic brass, so Vallejo brass that will be, with a Vallejo sepia ink over the top. You've got to be a bit careful because it will send them too coppery, so I'd advise slightly watering it down, because you might end up with a very coppery look. But it does give a bit of patina to the barrel, I believe. And then I go over with the people's trusty friend, the old Army Painter dark shade, and I put it over there, and I then get a very watered down mix of black and just do the rings, the casting rings and that strengthening rings there, just to define it a bit more. There's always to-ins and fro-ins over how yellow Austrian guns were. I prefer as if I've ever painted any before, but I've gone for the mucky ochre look, so it's a yellow ochre, and I put a very, I'm going to say minute, I'm talking like the tip of a brush of black grey, German grey, whatever you want to use, or even just like a London grey will do it, and I muck it up, and then I put the yellow ochre as a highlight. Now it's yellow, it's not going to stand out particularly. The problem you're going to have though, if you start over highlighting it, you will end up with let's get this Saxon gun here, you'll end up with that bright yellow, and I didn't want to go for that. So yeah, that's our guns. Now I won't pick that rider up because he's got bits and pieces lying on his thing. This guy here, the riders were civilians in uniform. They weren't supposed to carry firearms apart from as a last ditch self-defence, I believe. I'm just getting this out of Rawkins. I've gone for a yellow horse's collar. The watercolours I'd seen were actually black, but I couldn't understand it as they were brown leather, so I've gone for a yellow. That might not be right. It tended to be wood on top of a leather, filled leather pad underneath, and they're going for like a peppery grey, as they call it. So that's just my interpretation. Not a brilliant one to highlight this, because you can, again, just like the yellow, you can go way too bright or leave it too dark. So that was a bit of a pain, that one. Given the strap's a brown strap, you can have it white. The cavalry often had it white. I've seen, again, most of I just use Rawkins as my guide, and again watercolours showed he said they used infantry ones, and the infantry ones I saw was brown leather, so that's what I've gone for on that. And these have got the more older fashioned wide brim hats, roundabout hats. Now this one here, let's all get the fawing and laughing out the way now. This is a Wurst gun. Yes, it is a sausage gun. So we have 4 blokes riding a sausage. Yes, I'm waiting for it. Have you finished? Good. It was obviously a way of moving troops, the artillery guys around, and that's what these riders, the grey riders, 4 horses towing this along, behind a limber, I should say, and these sitting on, couldn't have been very comfortable. Hang on a minute. Sean from the Scale Model Car Guy channel, I can still hear you laughing in the background. Thank you. Right, so yeah, you've got 4 guys. They've got like a leather seat that plonks on top and gets taken off when it's in its firing position. Again, you can see I've stained that. It just gives them a bit of a patina rather than having bright guns. I've mixed the scabbards up again. Again, try not to go for, so we'll have one in the middle. So that again, I'll try and do stuff that isn't too formulaic. Hats on here, heads I should say, are all separate. You have to put them on. I know his head hasn't rolled forward. I deliberately put him down because that's quite high up when it's actually on the limber. So I wanted the heads in all as many different directions, ups and downs, left and right, as I could get them. I haven't pinned these. So if the client's listening, I haven't pinned these. Don't go touching them too hard. They will fall off. I was quite happy with the glue. So yep, that's our Wurst gun. And I think that's it. Oh, I'm just going to show you one other one. These guys with the blue collars, these are what they call like the handlers. And the client wanted to show a couple represented in the battery. So they're supposed to be for literally mauling the guns around, just general help really. And they were defined later on with this blue collar and cuffs, rather than the red of the same pose here, but with red. So that I haven't gone to town on those. I've just put a couple extra in here and there. You can see the white again. It's a lot colder effect than my normal warmer white, which would be, well, it'd be warmer than this. It'd be whiter than the cross belts, but I use the same colours to do that. I always do think better to have. If you don't try and use the same colours, if you're trying to upscale your figures a bit, don't use the same whites for everything, because it looks like you're saying use the same whites for everything, and in real life they probably would have been different textures and that, but at least you can show them in these smaller scales by like a cold white and a warm white. So you might do warm white trousers and have the cold white for the cross belts. They've got a white vest underneath that. That's not what the word I was after, but I've gillet, whatever they call it, and that I would have done that probably a warm white as well, but these guys you can't see. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. Hope everything's going well with you. There's one more video, which is just a thank you video coming up, and we'll catch each other. Well, we'll catch each other on that next video. Look after yourselves, guys.